Hi everyone, my name is Daniela Kaczynski, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about teenage pregnancy in the United States and also in the United Kingdom. So, before I start, I just want you guys to think about how high or low you think the teenage pregnancy rates are right now. So, in this graph I provided, it's showing you that never married females and males aged 15 to 19 who ever had sexual intercourse in the United States from 1988 to 2013. So, for teenage pregnancy is defined as a teenage girl, usually within the ages of 13 to 19, becoming pregnant. Although 12 is not technically a teenager, it would still fall under the same category. So, some statistics for you guys. In 2009, approximately 410,000 teenagers aged from 15 to 19 years old gave birth in the United States. The teenage pregnancy rate remains higher than in other developed countries. Also in 2009, the national teen birth rate was 39.1 per 1,000 females. It was actually 37% lower than in 1991 when it was 61.8 births per 1,000 females. Although in the United Kingdom the pregnancy rate almost went down 50% in the past 8 years, there were 21 pregnancies among every 1,000 females under 18 in 2015, which was just under the half the 2007 rate, which was at 41.6 per 1,000 females. So, in this picture I provided, it's just showing you the live birth rates, and I really just put it so you guys can see the difference between the US and the UK, and also showing that they are two of the highest teen pregnancy birth rates countries. So, demographics of health issue affecting women. There's going to be four that I'm mostly going to talk to you guys throughout the PowerPoint, and they're going to be complications and risks of teenage pregnancy, emotional well being during pregnancy, getting an education during a teenage pregnancy, and financially supporting your child as a teenage mother. So, complications and risks of teenage pregnancy. From the ages 12 to 19, the adolescent body is still developing, which means the body is not as well equipped for dealing with the effects of pregnancy and childbirth compared to someone older than 20. Although the developing body will adjust and make changes to be able to carry the child, it has to be monitored very carefully. So, some key risks for mothers during teenage pregnancy are high blood pressure, anemia, nutritional deficiencies, stillbirth, premature birth, and hypertension. So, if you guys look over to the picture that I provided, it's showing a few more teenage pregnancy effects and risks, such as maternal mortality, interrupting education, and premature and stillbirth as well. So, emotional well being during pregnancy. Not only does pregnancy put a really big deal of physical pressure on the body, but also on the well being of the pregnant teen. Stress, anxiety, and even depression can occur among the teen. It can also cause mental health conditions, such as postpartum depression. Women ranging from 15 to 19 experienced postpartum depression at a rate twice as high compared to women aged 25 and older. Baby blues, which is a postnatal depression, is also another condition that can occur. Financially supporting your child as a teenage mother. Risk factors include living in low income communities, a history of child abuse, living in chaotic and unstable home environments. Teenage parents often do not complete higher levels of education and often have more restricted economic opportunities than older parents would. This is due to only one half of teen moms having their high school diploma by the age of 22. Also, only 10% of teen moms typically will complete a 2 or 4 year degree. Teenagers who keep their baby are twice as likely to end up living in poverty than those who delay motherhood. So, in this picture that I provided, it's showing teen pregnancy facts and statistics to add on to the previous ones I showed. For this one, the teen pregnancy facts reflect the incidences in the US and deal with, among others, unplanned pregnancies, abortions, and the consequent healthcare risks. So, around 85% of teenage pregnancies are actually unplanned, while 7.2% of these teens receive no medical care, which we know really isn't good considering in one of the other slides I told you guys that it's really important to be carefully monitored for teen pregnancy. Around 700,000 teens between ages 17 and 19 become pregnant each year, and roughly 40% of females in the US become pregnant before they reach 20 years of age. So half of these pregnant teens give birth each year, while around 45% have abortions. So the United States. While the United States and the United Kingdom have quite a few of the same main key factors, there are a couple that are different that I'm going to talk about. So, for the United States, the key factors that contribute to teenage pregnancy are drug and alcohol use, lack of knowledge about sex or contraception, being the victim of sexual abuse, dating older people, and limited communication between parents and teens. And for the United Kingdom, the key factors that contribute to teenage pregnancy are lack of education, lack of engagement with parents, and embarrassed to access condoms. So, drug and alcohol use. Drug and alcohol use results from substance use and teen pregnancy in the United States. Evidence shows from 2002 to 2012 found that adolescent females are significantly more likely to have experimented with alcohol, cannabis, and other illicit drugs. So, in this graph, it's showing you the first, second, and third trimester of these teen pregnancies and how much of either alcohol, cannabis, or other illicit drugs were being used during those trimesters. Lack of education. Lack of education about sex and contraception. The education in the United States lacked the topic of sex or contraceptive to students until they are about 16 or 17 in high school. Even then, the topics are more about sexually transmitted diseases instead of the actual sex or contraceptive talk. Without leaving teenagers with the knowledge they need to or should know, it leaves them curious and not completely sure what to do in certain conditions. Since there really isn't much discussion about it, teens do not realize the serious outcomes or risks that can happen. So, here it's showing that the states that don't require sex education in the United States. While before I did this presentation, I actually thought it was required in every state, so this was really shocking. But it's saying that sex education typically includes discussion of STDs, while in Illinois, sex education is not mandatory, but health education is required, and it includes medically accurate information on abstinence. While in Mississippi, many topics include contraception or STDs only with permission from the State Department of Education. And in Tennessee, sex education is required if the pregnancy rate is at least 19.5 or higher per 1,000 teen women ages 15 to 17. Also, as I'll show you guys later on, if you look where like Texas, Arizona, Louisiana, you notice that they're red, meaning that the states don't require sex education, and they are actually the highest risk of teenage pregnancy. So, sexual abuse. Being the victim of sexual abuse can actually be a risk itself for teenage pregnancy. So 4.5 out of 10 pregnant adolescents may have a prior history of childhood sexual abuse. This means that it most likely places females at increased risk for an adolescent pregnancy. Childhood sexual abuse can lead to high risk behaviors, which is where teen pregnancies come into place. Dating older people. Dating someone older as an adolescent can be difficult if the older person wants to have sex before the adolescent is mentally or physically ready. It seems as though when teenage girls do have sex with an older partner, it is not as common for the girls to use contraceptive and are at a much higher risk of pregnancy. So, limited communication between parents and teens. There is an increased risk of teenage pregnancy for teens who have never had the talk with their parents. Some parents feel the school should be talking about sex and contraceptives with their teens, although many schools do not have a sex talk, but instead focus on STDs. Without teenagers being educated about the subject, they lack knowledge of how to be safe and how to avoid pregnancies. Some parents feel as though it is too much of an awkward conversation to have, or feel as though their child does not need the talk, when really it shows that by communicating about the topic can actually decrease the risk of pregnancy. I will touch upon this more when I start talking about the United Kingdom. You're embarrassed to access condoms. Since social factors play a big role when accessing condoms, this is something that teens seem to try and avoid. They don't want to be looked at or asked questions when buying these contraceptives, and also do not want to be judged for their age. If it was possible to access condoms more openly, more teenagers would most likely use them. This is why many colleges offer free condoms in the health center. This way, pregnancy can be avoided among the students. This shows in itself that if these adolescents are not ready to buy themselves condoms, they are definitely not ready to have a family, a baby. So again, this is similar to one of the graphs I showed you guys earlier, but this is also in 2009, so it's comparing again the different countries and the birth rates of teenage pregnancy. So I like to put it so that you can see that the United States and the United Kingdom are still very close to each other, while the United States is at 37.9 per 1,000 females aged 15 to 19, while the United Kingdom is at 25. So, United States political views. Unlike the United Kingdom, the United States does not take as much responsibility for teenage pregnancy. Instead, they blame it more on teenagers not using contraceptive methods. The United States claim that if more teenagers use contraceptive methods, the pregnancy rate would decrease. Since the rate has decreased within the past few years, they say it is due to an increased amount of abstinence and the delayed onset of sexual intercourse. Although the United States does have Planned Parenthood, where condoms can be distributed, they can do health checks and ultrasounds, even set up with birth control if needed. It is a safe and welcoming place that is set up to help you. This is something that the United Kingdom could look into to decrease the rate even more. Planned Parenthood is the United States' leading provider and advocate of high quality, affordable health care for everyone. It also is the nation's largest provider of sex education. So here, this is where I'm showing you guys where the teen birth rates are the highest. So like I said, it's really in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, um, and that's where sex education is not required or mandatory to be taught in these states. So, the United Kingdom political views. The UK has had the highest rates of teenage conception in Europe. Instead of blaming the teenagers, the United Kingdom actually blamed themselves for not preparing the teenagers better. The United Kingdom felt as though they were not educated enough on the subject and decided to take actions into their own hands. It is important to take views of young people into account when planning both sex education and the provision of contraceptive service. The United Kingdom now starts educating their teens about sex education at the age of 13. So this is about middle school age. Teenage pregnancy rate has dropped dramatically by providing the information that teens actually want to know and giving them access to any questions that they have. So some similarities between the US and the UK. Teen pregnancy is most common in women ages 15 to 19. They are both top in teenage pregnancy rates due to being poorly prepared for life in a modern and sexualized society. They are also both very secretive and embarrassed of the contraceptive services. And also some differences between the US and the UK. Safe sex talks normally start in high school, ranging from 15 to 19, while in the UK, safe sex talks now start at the age of 13, which is how the rate dropped dramatically. The US teen pregnancy rate as 2018 is 22.3 for every 1,000 females, while the UK is now 14.5 for every 1,000 females. So clearly, just by engaging these teens and helping them learn on what they really want to know about sex can actually lower teenage pregnancy rates. And the United Kingdom recognized a problem and came up with a solution, such as educating teenagers about sex. So, some ethical considerations and actions. The United Kingdom's teen pregnancy rate has dramatically decreased over the past few years. They claim by having sex education at a younger age has showed tremendous improvement. They now start sex education at 13, which is middle school age for teens to have a better understanding. The United States has tried to make contraceptives easier to access. They also have tried to make their products safer and have less of a chance of breaking or not working to cause less pregnancies, such as condoms and birth controls. Planned Parenthood provides free condoms as well as providing birth control with prescription for less and making everything more accessible. So, overall, we see a decrease in teen pregnancy in both the United States as well as the United Kingdom. I believe that both countries can actually learn from one another to help make teen pregnancy rates even lower. Clearly, they both have some good feedback on what they've been doing to actually lower their rates. And I think that by combining some of the successful things they've found can lower the rates even more. The United Kingdom has shown that sex education was a huge impact on lowering their teen pregnancy rates, while the United States showed that providing contraceptives also helped to lower teen pregnancy rates. There are many different health conditions that rise when teen pregnancy occur for not only the teen, but for the body as well, physically and mentally. So I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation and actually learned a lot more about teen pregnancy in the US and the UK. And hopefully we can help to lower teen pregnancy risks.